Hello, I'm Michael, and this is Tarot by the Tree. In this series, we're going through the minor arcana, card by card, and we're doing it suit by suit. We're starting at the aces, and we'll move on up through to the king. We're right now on the seven of clubs, the seven of staffs, seven of wands, as often called. I don't like to use the word wands because it has this it has connotations of magic that aren't part of what this card stands for. This is the card we're looking at today. The Seven of Staffs. And I've mentioned before, context is really important in learning the tarot cards. The tarot cards are meant to be understood. The pictures are supposed to be clear. And you can see some things about this are very clear. It's there's a bit of a confrontation. The man, the person in the picture who has a staff clearly has the higher ground. He appears to be uninjured. We can see those things. But the card doesn't just give you an indication of what you should be. The card has a context, and that context is its place on the tree of life or the tree of knowledge.
Want to show it where it is?
The 5 cards.
Where is it on the tree?
Yeah, I did. It's right. It's hard to do this. Anyway, it's on the. It's where the number 7 is. Seven is the realm of Netzach, and we're going to be looking at what that particular Sephira says. And what it says is control of our intellect and our imagination. If we do not have that control, we can descend into a kind of madness at worst and forms of mental illness at best. We need to keep control over those 2 parts of our mind. So we'll go through and we'll describe the card first. There's a person in a tunic, shirt, leggings, and strangely mismatched footwear. The person is safe, uninjured, well defended, and on higher ground. The place on the tree, as we mentioned, is Sephira number 7, Netzach, on the tree of life. Netzach is represented by the chariot. The whole nature of this card is control of 2 dissimilar forces. The link is the key aspect of this card. The link that holds them together. Netzach, as a character riding in his chariot, is fanciful, mobile. He's resplendent and impervious. That Sephira, the chariot, sits on Netzach. On the second tree of life, the tarot cards reveal Netzach in a different light. This is the same Sephira, but on the other tree. And we see a big change. On the first card, we have the 2 mythical beasts called Sphinx, very wise, and they would normally go their separate ways, like polarities or opposite, but they're linked together by Netzach, which gives him a kind of synergy through these 2 creatures. And there he is, quite the dandy, but it's not superficial. The armor is real, the chariot is real. But that same Sephra has another side, and it's the moon card. And the moon card is what happens when the link is gone. The two Sphinx revert to their more prehistoric beings, which are the dog and the wolf. And they appear to be between two towers looking down a road that seems to be endless. And there is the aspect of imagined enemies as a lobster or something comes out of the water at the bottom of the card. This Sephra means if the intellect and the imagination work together, we get more than we paid for. There's a synergistic effect. If we do not let these two things work equally and control each other, we have problems. And you'll start to get problems in your personal life because you'll lack clarity as your emotions take control. Things become stranger in your life, and that's the moon card and the imagined enemies and the road that seems pointless and long. So when we see this card, we do see the person on the higher ground defending himself against many other staffs. We realize that what this struggle is about is the control of our own minds and keeping ourselves balanced. In the moon card, the Sphinx have run loose. They devolve. Enemies appear to lurk below. Now, the meaning of the Seven of Staffs is the person is undecided. There are many conflicting plans, and that's what the staffs coming up from below represent. There are many other plans. The main character in the card has a plan, and other people are saying, why don't we take your plan and turn it into this? Why don't we take my plan and put it onto your plan? All these kind of things, resulting in a confusion. But the moral of this card is to stand fast. Hold on to your plans. Your own logic must guide your plans. Do not let many other selfish plans interfere with your ideals. That's the aspect of this card, is struggle. It's a battle, and you win if you stick to your plans. It's like there's a purity of intent at the very best when you work with your plans, and there can be a dilution of your intent if these plans are shared too much with other people's interests. There is in this card an aspect of defending, hitch their horses onto your wagon. And that's what you'll find with many of these suggestions that people just want to tailgate. One of the things that I think of with this card is inspiration versus committee decision. This person represents an inspiration. The people below are the committee decision that really seek to water down the original idea. In some sense, maybe struggle is the wrong word. Maybe maintain a defensive position. It might be a little bit better. This is not a card about partnership. This is a card about having faith in yourself. Now, of course, that doesn't always work. We can all be deluded. And of course, in the process of gaining knowledge, we all make mistakes. But this is a card of trusting yourself. It is a card about common sense. Never let intellect get swamped by emotions. This isn't to say we should be a Vulcan-like Mr. Spock on Star Trek, but the intellect should be guiding the emotions rather than the other way around. Hope and hate are very powerful emotions, and they should not be directing our minds. In a reading, I would say something like this: You have learned. Now it is time to put some of your plans into action. Be sensible. Resist offers that will change your plans. Okay, let's turn to some of the questions.
Is the person on the card being forced over a cliff?
No, he's it might look like that, and we have seen that aspect right from the Fool card to other cards of the precipice. But this is just the higher ground. It's a defensive position, and it's a good place to be.
Why is he on the higher ground?
He's on the higher ground because there's a certain morality to believing in plans that make sense to you, that make sense logically. And he's on the higher ground because he's put his plans to great scrutiny, and he knows they will succeed, and he's not going to be dissuaded by a bunch of people who are really just trying to push their own vested interests.
Why does he wear two different types of footwear? On one foot is a shoe, on the other is a boot.
This is interesting, and the way I see it is that he's in two worlds now, and the whole time we have been talking about the cards of the Moon and the Chariot, and those are the cards of the emotion and the intellect. He is in two worlds. On the one, his own mind, trusting his own deductions and his own plans. On the other, he is part of a group with different ideas, and he has to entertain them. But the hope or the moral of this card is not to be dissuaded from his own road by these other offered pathways.
Are the lower staffs his enemies?
No, they're actually more like his loyal opposition, or even a team that comes up with ideas. And this would be a card that might look like brainstorming, but somebody has already come up with what they fully believe to be the best idea. They are not his enemies. They may even be supporters of him, and at the very least, they're probably compatriots, and they're working together.
A little confused about the fact that if the staffs are your plans, why do you have to defend yourself against other people's plans?
Yeah, it does seem strange. I mean, these are just ideas. Why would we have to defend ourselves against somebody's idea? And in general conversation, we could discuss different people's ideas without getting defensive about it. In this case, it goes one step further than this. The people with the staffs below him aren't only trying to share their ideas, they're trying to replace some of his with theirs. And that can usually does lead to a watering down of the initial inspiration that sponsored this plan, and plans are what the staffs are all about.
Is he in danger of being injured?
He's in no danger of being injured. Again, the moral is make sure your intellect is guiding you as you work your way through your emotions. If you didn't listen to your intellect in this case and just became very emotional and maybe listened to some new ideas, or maybe there were some new realities being explored, it's quite possible you would be hurt through that, because that wouldn't be a good avenue to pursue, and that would be indirect injury. The moral of the card is stick to your guns, have faith, in your plans and your ideas. And in this case, we're not looking for a lot of help from other people.
Why must he defend himself? What is threatening him?
The thing that's threatening him is that people always want to insert a bit of themselves into any good idea. And it can be a tiniest thing, or it could actually be quite a monumental thing. Just the nature of people. We can assume that this person is intellectually protected and that his emotions are positive attributes because they're guided by his intellect. The people below him, we can surmise that they're very emotional people. And that's one of the reasons that they want to add their plans to his. It has to do with their own feelings of creativity.
Is this a calm and rational person? Is the message in the card to be less emotional?
You would think that, but it's not true. Staves are the sign of fire. Enterprise is going to be energetically pursued in these cards. The staves are living things that can develop very quickly, even exponentially. There is no member of the staff or wand family that is going to be innately even-tempered and calm, because this is the symbol of fire. So we can expect a person like this, who is defending their rights to come to their own conclusions. They may not always do this in the calmest and most gentlemanly form. It's a sign of fire. These people are very likely to display anger or displeasure.
What is the message of the Seven of Staffs?
I think the message is intellect over emotion. And I know people like to participate in forms of spirituality that say faith over reason. Well, faith is belief, and belief is hope. And to put those things over reason works really well for the person pushing the belief system, but I don't think it works really well for the adherents. We have evolved to use reason, and our emotions are our delight at best, and they should not be left just by themselves. We should not just be fully emotional, and I believe that's sort of a form of madness. We want to keep our intellect, and we want to enjoy our emotions uh, through sanity, not insanity. Um, there's also in this card the struggle to be rational in the face of wild optimism. If there are a whole bunch of people all around you proclaiming something like something mystical or magical, it's very easy to lose all intellect at that point, because there is that hysteria. So there is in this card, it's partly the struggle to be rational in the face of wild optimism. And that's where we have to rely on our own minds and not be like sheep and always guided by the majority or by the herd.
Any additional thoughts?
We've talked about intellect over emotion. It's partly the evolution from superstition to the scientific method. And although I'm not a scientist, and we're not advocating you be a scientist. We're just suggesting that the way we have evolved is the ability to use reason, so we don't have to act on our emotions. We can feel everything, but our actions, that's under our control. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.